What is up, guys? Welcome to another FBA happy hour. We got Drew back in the house. Drop in your name, where you're from, and what's going on, man.
Nothing much. We talked for a while yesterday, so I'm trying to think of everything we talked about, but not too much. OA's kind of slow, but I'm kind of just like weeding down. It's been like 120 grand last month, so I'm trying to like put it down a little bit now.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be. It's interesting times. Should be a good time to start spending again eventually, but before you know it, Q4 is going to be here. It's crazy.
It's crazy to think.
It feels like it was just New Year's, and now it's like preparing for Q4. Like I usually take, I take like a break from June to August, usually like every year. Like I'm not working as hard. I'm like, man, my break's like almost over already. Like, I feel like I worked so hard for Q4.
Yeah, it's definitely nutty. I don't know. It should be interesting. I feel like it should be interesting what back to school is like. I don't know. It doesn't seem as hypey as it was last year. Guess we'll find out.
Well, the whole backpack thing is what's.
Yeah, I don't know. Are you gonna buy backpacks?
No,
I haven't bought backpacks, not with that compliance stuff. I mean, I have students who bought backpacks, but I mean, I told them to be careful, obviously. And I was like, if you guys really want to play that game, I mean, I would just be very cautious. Like, I wouldn't go buy 1,000 backpacks and sit on them because of the compliance complaint thingies. And one of them did get one already. And he's like, I should be able to sell through within 30 days. I was like, I hope so.
Yeah, I feel like when Amazon, like, you get hit with a couple of those, like, they're gonna like I don't know.
I don't know what that even means. You know what I mean? Like, what happens if you get to, you know what I mean? Because I've never gotten a compliance because I don't sell like toys.
I still have that one on my account. It's for backpack, and I had two other ones. One was for, I don't even know what the hell it was for, but it dropped off. Both of them just randomly dropped off. The backpack one is still there. I'm just like, backpacks. One, I don't like doing merch fulfilled. And like, I'm not gonna list them on eBay. Like, I'm just not doing that. Like, it's if it was like a pencil or something that I could put it on Polymailer, then maybe. But like, I'm not getting stuck with all this stuff.
I was hyping up back to school so big because I wanted to buy like a ton of backpacks, but I'm really only buying like a few different kinds now. Because I bought in early June like a ton of different backpacks, like different styles, different brands, and all of them got removed because of safety compliance. I got hit with like 7 alerts, and now I'm trying to move them on eBay, and they're just like not even moving below what I even paid them for. So like,
oh god,
yeah, but I didn't go too deep. Like I'm only down probably a few $100, but I only bought 3 to 5 of each of them just to see, how it was, and to see the volume on those listings. Like if a listing's like 200K, but there's not a lot of sellers and it's a single variation backpack, I was kind of interested to see, well, 200K could sell like 5-10 times a day. And if I could sell through all my inventory, but it didn't end up working out like that because they just got removed so quick.
That's crazy. Yeah, I've definitely seen some listings. I've noticed, like, I forgot what I can't find the email. I don't know if they like have the ability to like unsend something, but it was basically like, this is why this listing is like a safety claim, and like they gave like recommendations to like fix the listing, and I ended up doing it, and it was like, remove the word kids, like delete this bullet point, and then it ended up I did it, and then they still didn't.
They said, psych, here, do all this work, and then we will not change it at all.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat. I know Drew, he said he has a special rant for us that he's been working on.
I got 2. How many people are in here? I was going to wait for a few more.
Special rant.
Like 12 so far.
Okay, I'm bringing the content. Okay.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear.
We were literally we were working on our project, and then he's like, "You want to catch up?" And so it's like, "Yeah," and then we ended up being on the phone for like 2.5 hours, and then like, we should talk about this tomorrow. So we both wrote down.
God. Am I ready for this?
No, it's not bad. I've only got 2 things. It's not like a rant, really. The second one is, first one I'll talk about because I'm sure a few people are in here. John was asking me if it was talking about shoes and clothes, how it was kind of difficult to spend a lot of money when you're not in those categories, which, that is it's a very large part of Amazon. So it makes a lot of sense if you're not buying $50, $80, $100 shoes, that's going to lower your spend a lot, especially if you're buying stuff like grocery or supplements and there's like order limits. But I guess the yin, like the good side and the bad side there is you have all the returns if you buy all the shoes and you buy all the clothes, which gets really messy. Your whole apartment gets flooded with that kind of stuff. If you don't have a good system to deal with it, you're going to end up losing money. But the good part about it is the cash back is really high. So if you spend, $100,000, $200,000 on shoes and you're getting 5-10% cash back with your credit cards and your Rakuten, I mean, you are making a really good salary. So as long as your business isn't losing money, like literally you can make 5% ROI and you have some way to deal with some of these returns, you're going to make a pretty decent amount of money. So I've got back into shoes and clothes, not clothes, but back into shoes because I have a pretty good system now with getting it removed and like listed on eBay. I'm recovering like 50 to 60% of my money there. And then I'm getting the huge cash back. And this was my biggest cash back month of the year, June was. And I spent the most money on shoes. So,
wow. I might just start looking at them. I don't know if I'll ever go, and I'll just DM you and be like, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I know the whole shoes.
Aces in the chat, please.
Hey, what is it?
So drop the aces in the chat, please.
I mean, it's just like that. I don't know. You got to stay away from the stuff that like everybody knows about. Back 2 years ago, you could buy certain like Converse and Nike listings and just like buy them for retail and sell them for double retail. But these days, those listings are tanked so hard for multiple reasons. One, people are selling fakes on some of that stuff, and that tanks the price. Two, you have big shoe sellers coming in. So like companies that are big, like Zappos, for example, but they're not on much of that listing. But big companies that come in for retail and you can't match that because they're just going to, they have a way better store than you. And the third one is a lot of like shoes are getting sold wholesale now, and it's called like parallel importing, and it's like a gray area type of thing. So these products are being sent from overseas in like, let's say you get them in like one place like the UK or you get them in Venezuela, and this company buys them and says, hey, we're going to help your market share in Venezuela. But instead they ship it to the US. So it's parallel importing. It's like pretty gray area, but that's what a lot of people are doing. And yeah.
Yeah, every time I talk to Drew, I learn something about some new underground thing that is now coming to Amazon. I'm like, oh, okay, this makes a lot of sense. So I couldn't figure this out. And then he's like, oh, yeah, this is what they're doing. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
Let's see. 3 legends. What's going on? Drop your guys' questions. Hello, guys. What replacer do you use? I know Drew uses Seller Snap. I use Go Aura. Highly recommend them.
I switched from the dark side of Be Cool. I used Be Cool for probably almost a year.
So I don't know if I use them. Might have been a year. No, I think I only lasted like 6 months. And then I did Chris Grant's OA challenge, and he had like a repricing thing with Dylan. And they were just like, oh, we'll set it up for you. I was like, yeah, right. And then sure enough, like they're like, yeah, you want to meet next Tuesday? And they set up I just told them what I wanted, and they built it out for me. I don't know if they're still doing that, so like don't go blow that up. But yeah, I was like really impressed.
Yeah, Seller Snap, if you have the money and you have the capital, you're doing enough sales, I think it's worth it. I've had enough time at this point to gather all the data and realize, I mean, my profit's higher, my revenue's higher. I mean, I'm spending more money, but like my items aren't getting tanked as bad. I'm getting weird sales, like where the buy box will be 80, I'll get one at 105. And because Seller Snap will take the buy box, and I have certain settings to where if I have the buy box on certain things, it'll shoot up to $100, hoping that everybody will chase me up as well. Sometimes I'll just get sales like that. So there's certain things you can do that like help that out. But yeah, it's pretty complicated. But I will say for me watching, if you're going to use Seller Snap, you can DM me on Instagram or Twitter or something. And if you use my affiliate link, I can like walk you through what I do.
Sweet.
Wow. Very nice offer.
Boom. Yeah. Boom, boom. What level of sales would you recommend someone have, do you think?
That's tough. Yeah, that's tough because I think they offer a really good program if you're like a very low amount of sales. It's like really cheap. But then again, I don't know. That's tough because where I'm coaching all these people too now, people are always asking me that, and I don't really know. And almost is less of like sales and more maybe like SKU management. So after you have like 200 SKUs or something like that, 150 SKUs, maybe that'd be a better time to do it. I don't
That
know.
makes sense.
Yeah, but when you first get in there, it looks very complicated. It's not like GoAura. It's not like the other ones. It's like very overwhelming. I freaked out. I had to book a call with them, be like, "What is going on?" But
I think I remember the day before you're like, or it was that day. You're like, yeah, I got a call at Seller Snap in like 2 hours.
Yeah, and they helped me out a bunch. They're really just understanding that, GoAura, it's like trying to match the price down. It's trying to do that, or like some people undercut or whatever. Seller Snap like doesn't even have like the option for that unless you manually set it. It's doing like an AI repricer, so it'll go down. Sometimes it'll go up. The only issue I've seen so far is with buy box suppressed. My prices are just all over the place, jacked up. I'll either be undercutting the lowest price by like way too much, or I'll be overcutting it. So I've got to figure that out, but I don't know. That's just a work in progress. I don't buy too much buy box suppressed stuff anymore.
Yeah, it's been weird. Like the buy box suppressed stuff, I don't know, in my opinion, used to like it almost didn't matter. Now they're like, I don't know what the deal is, but like you're just not getting the same volume. I was on one thing that I was just selling like crazy, and for whatever reason, the buy box was lost, and like I haven't gotten a sale, and I don't even know the last time, and I'm like, oh god, like I don't know how I'm gonna get rid of this stuff because like it doesn't seem like it even matters on price. Like I'm playing around, like just like lowering it more than everyone else, even at the loss, and it's still not like getting sales down there. So I'm just like, should be fun.
Yep.
The joys.
Yeah, and that's like a really good example too. Like that some things just like bad things happen. Like that was like test bot, like it was like a 10, a 20, a 40, a 80, and then it was like, all right, let's go for it. And then like the buy box got lost. Like there was so much data suggesting that like I almost ordered double that, and now the buy box is gone.
Was it a low BSR?
Yeah.
Might be the same listing I was on. I had something very similar that happened. I sold through like 50 and then I ordered like 150 and the buy box got suppressed and I haven't sold one since. So I just like so down on the listing. I don't know what to do. Just going to wait it out, I guess.
Yeah, see that I was like looking at it and it looks like it seems when the seller count hits a certain amount, the buy box goes away. And right now it's like super high. So it looks like if it drops down a little bit, it might grab the buy box again. But I'm just like curious for myself. Like I'm willing to lose on the unit just to see like, okay, if I'm lowest price, like that's the hard part too. Like when you can't see the last time like the buy box is won, you have no idea when someone got the last sale.
Yeah.
And it's just like, all right, like is this not selling or just these other people getting it? Super sad situation though. I'll tell you that much. What do we got here?
Go up to the one above that after that as well, because I know
I think I pulled that up and we weren't ready for that.
Yeah.
Jme Goods is nuts.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you guys watching this or everybody in the Amazon space, you've probably seen this person on your listings.
Mm-hmm.
I somewhat know who this guy is. Not like know him. I don't talk to him, but I know of him. And he is a massive seller. He has 5 retail arbitrage operations, so like separate ones. And then he does lots and lots of OA as well. And the reason he said that as we were talking about the shoes, I think, and maybe that's why he mentioned that. The shoe thing, it's a big deal because that guy has a very good system to deal with his returns of shoes. So he can take lower ROI on his shoes, I'm sure. I don't know him that well, like to know that, but I do know that. That guy's massive. He's one of the biggest ones.
Wow.
Yeah, but also on that note, I saw on Twitter there was like a little debate recently of if you get to $1 million profit a year with OA, and they were giving all these examples of like Jme Goods and Soros and all these people, and I know everyone they named like to a certain extent, and none of those people do $1 million profit OA. So I don't know what everybody was trying to prove there.
I saw that.
Yeah.
That was the craziest thing ever, which the guy was doing it for engagement bait. I know that guy that tweeted that too, but like it was crazy that there were so many people telling him he was wrong and no one could prove him wrong. And they were giving him like weird exceptions. Like, well, it's impossible to do if you mix OA and wholesale. He was like, that's not what I'm saying at all. All I'm saying is it's impossible to get to $1 million profit a year OA. And I do not know a guy that does it. And I know the top sellers like on Amazon that do OA. Like I know guys that do 15, 20 million and none of them do $1 million profit.
Yeah, that's definitely the new strategy on Twitter. It's like, say like this crazy thing that everyone's gonna go like nuts about. It's either everyone agrees with, everyone disagrees with, or just something like everyone's gonna have like their 2 cents about, or like want to be right or wrong about.
Like that one that I sent you. I don't know who, I can't remember who it was now, but somebody put on Twitter that women must be able to close wholesale accounts better than men because we're women, and people are wanting to speak to women. I'm like, are you serious right now? Are we really playing that? He quickly deleted it. I was like, thank you.
Oh, they did. I didn't know they deleted it.
I was like, you're gonna be doing this. Has to be clickbait.
I mean, I fall for it every time. So good strategy.
Yeah, same here.
At the
Maybe
time,
maybe I should start posting like ridiculous stuff and just see what happens.
Yeah, I don't know though. What I see it, I don't know if that would even bring you the followers that really, because a lot of the times I can barely even remember whose initial thread it was. So I don't know if it would actually bring you followers. I mean, that Grant guy is really good at social media, and that's who it was. So yeah. Zeke's in. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Yeah, he's in the news of this. He says even DMW has wholesale. DMW does Drink More Water. He's like a Discord guy. Yeah. He is like massive, and he does lots of wholesale, like way more wholesale than OA. And that was an example people were using too. Like he doesn't even do much OA anymore, and he doesn't do $1 million profit either. I don't think so.
Interesting. Yeah. Have you guys jumped on Threads yet? Yeah, I'm on there. I posted, I don't know, maybe 5 things. I don't know what to think of it just yet. It seems like I don't know. It seems like Twitter is more organized, but it's just like more like to jump on there and see like what's going on. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, to me it was messy, and I don't really understand why you would go to a platform that's censored. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't like that. Twitter's known for like the no censorship, and like you can kind of say what you want and have open discussion. Threads is like not like that, and it's a worse UI. I don't really see how that takes off, and they're getting sued, so I don't know. But maybe it does well, but I don't really see the upside of it at all.
I think the only advantage of it, it's like I don't know how true this is because obviously I have around 11,000 followers on Instagram. Supposedly all of like you'd automatically have 11,000. But I don't know if that's if all your friends, like all your 11,000 went to Threads. I think that was like the big catch to it. I mean, I think I don't even look, but this morning there was like 700 followers on there. Definitely the quickest I've ever gotten like 700 anything on social media. So like, I feel like that could be like really like people. But then again, if it doesn't mean anything, like I've posted like 5 or 6 different things and no kind of like correlation of like, what's good or what's bad. I've seen people post stuff where I'm like, oh, that's pretty dumb. And like that went well. I'm like, oh, that's pretty smart. Like that didn't do good. So I have no idea. Are you?
That's how Twitter is now too. I just see stupid stuff go viral, and I'm just like,
yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should start doing like tweet of the week or something.
That would be so good if you guys had like 2 or 3 tweets you could like pull up that were controversial and talk about them. That's actually a genius idea.
That actually is pretty good. Maybe we'll have like a segment.
See you guys on content, okay?
Or maybe Drew will be the correspondent. He'll be like,
whatever I'm on, I'll do it.
We had a seller from overseas message us, hey, stop lowering your price. I'm a seller and I'm losing money. Like, dude, the price is going down because people are jumping over to Walmart Marketplace.
Yeah, that's illegal, brother. Don't do that.
Yeah, I
would not respond to that message.
I'm like so tempted. There's one person that's like jumping on all my listings. I want to be like, bro, like back off. But obviously you can't do that. I was like, that'd be cool if there was like an app somehow where it's like sellers. But obviously that would get like too in cahoots type of stuff. But
I mean, groups do that. I used to be in groups where it was like, this is $100. Like, don't drop your price below 200. They'd even like take like names of sellers and everything. So like to make sure, but it was like a price fixing group. It's kind of crazy they even let that happen. And then it started being talked about that that is price fixing and it is illegal. So it'd be just scary to even respond to a message like that on Amazon. You don't want that data collected anywhere because if Amazon gets some big lawsuit for price fixing, which I'm pretty sure they already did recently. You don't want
I think that's where the suppressed buy box came from. Like, I don't know the whole history of Amazon, but it was like COVID when people are jacking up stuff, they're like, oh, we're just gonna pretend that like no one could see this price, and like the outside, like if you don't sell on Amazon, like you wouldn't really know that like that's a suppressed buy box. You're like, oh, this listing looks weird, and like you're just searching to add it to your cart. But for us, we're like, oh, there's a suppressed buy box, like something. Obviously, someone jacked up the price or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. How often do you guys storefront stock? Do you guys make your VAs do that versus manual sourcing? You go, Drew.
I never do that. That's how I got started, but I've talked about this so many times on so many different things. But this is like, it's just like a losing strategy to storefront stock, especially if you're small and you like trying to figure out what's going on with Amazon. It's good to like look at these stores and see like what the general gist of products people are selling. But to just go through there and like try to find it, it just makes no sense because you don't know when that person bought that. And the game is so competitive today. If you find some listing that like is available retail and you're going to buy it for retail and flip it on this, other people are going to get on that because now people are going to storefront stock you. They're going to storefront stock everybody else. So it's just a really losing game, and you'll just get pissed because your prices will tank all the time. So you have to have a different strategy. I would have your VAs manually source and give them very specific tasks. I'm not a huge fan of VA sourcing, obviously, but I mean, if you're going to have them source like one website or like try to find coupons, stuff like that, because the storefront stocking is just a losing game. I don't know any big sellers that actually do that. It's just to kind of get your feet in the water.
I guess you don't storefront stock anymore because you're doing all wholesale. For me, not really. Same kind of as Drew. Like today I was kind of like going on some people who hopped on my listings just to kind of see what they're doing because I don't know, kind of some of the stuff I found was like, I'm not going to get too into it, but I'm like, I wonder if this person's doing this on other stuff. And turns out they were. And I was able to find some good stuff there, but like I'm not doing it like on a pair of Nike socks or like something like that. I almost think the storefront stalking thing for me, like there should be like something else called like go through someone's maybe store or whatever, and just like I would probably use keep a product finder for those brands, and then run different filters and like I don't know what else. I would do a bunch of different stuff, but that's kind of what I would do. Storefront stalking, like I think that's a hard point too of it. I've definitely storefront stalked some people. And then you get to know them in person and they're like, oh yeah, I just do it for the cash back. And you're like, huh, okay. Like no wonder like, you know, like they're like up in the bot, like they have their price like really high. You're like, I know that, like they must know something. And then it turns out like their repricer just like screwed up and like they just bought for 10% cash back. And you're like, okay, so like you just never know like why they're doing that, or maybe someone just has like a friend at that store and they're getting it for like the cheapest ever. I think it's really hard to like go after like a store these days unless you almost know like the person's theory, and you're not going to know that.
Yeah, and people, you're storefront stalking the big guys, like you're not going to find much data from that, like. Everybody's got their own strategy, and you're not going to be able to get in there. Like you can try, but very likely it's not going to work for you.
And I feel like at this point, it's mostly just like everyone's getting their stuff on sale. So like when you're seeing it, like if it's live on Amazon, if they're using a prep center, they probably bought that like 2-3 weeks ago.
I mean, a perfect example is what you were just telling me a few weeks ago, which I'm not going to go into detail, obviously, but like I could never have figured that out. Like there's no way. You told me what you were doing and I still didn't do it. So it's like, how was anybody going to see what you're doing and then think, oh yeah, I'm going to buy that too. Like you told me and I'm still not buying it. So like, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. I was just like, when I was just like, yeah, I'm just kind of doing this. She was like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's pretty. And he's like, damn, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I told him, I was like, spend all your time doing that because you need to milk that until like you can't do it anymore.
And then like, yeah, then he told me something yesterday, but let's see. Companies get hide when people say bad things. That's on Threads. I feel like that's stupid if that's like the case, because Obviously, if you're a company, you're just gonna hide all the bad stuff. He has whopping 5 followers on Threads. Start making threads. Keeper Product Finder, do you guys use the NSR filter often or no?
No sales rank.
Oh, okay, that's what I thought that was. Took me a second there. No, I usually don't. I keep it in. Usually, yeah.
Yeah, it's to do that. You have to get really creative with how you have to really know how to use Keeper Product Finder to do that. And I'm very, very good at it. I'd like to think so, and I still am not like completely, figure out all that kind of stuff. So I avoid it as well.
Yeah, I feel like Duke does Amazon. He has a video on his YouTube. I think it's mainly focused on no sales rank stuff and kind of how he tries to bring in listings that haven't sold or aren't currently active but have sold in the past, and kind of what he looks for. So if you go to his YouTube, you could probably find that there. And Kayla doesn't even use Keep anymore. Just doing Wholesale. Have you guys ever met up in real life? Me and Michaela have met in Miami Seller Conference. I do feel like me and Drew will meet eventually.
Yeah, but yeah, if I'm gonna meet anybody in this whole Amazon space, it'd probably be you. I don't like those conferences and stuff. That's like not really what I'm about. I used to do that. I used to go to that stuff as a kid. Like my family would take me to these, like, it's not obviously not a sellers conference, but those type of conferences. And that was literally the bane of it. I hated that stuff so much. So it's very unlikely I'll ever go to one of those unless someone asks me to speak. So me meeting up with Amazon sellers is probably unlikely. I've only met one dude ever, and that was fun, but we just drank and party. So not much Amazon talk going on there.
Nice. Yeah, we'll definitely have to meet. You guys see those fake 2 TB SSD hard drives? The company in China flashes the ROM, so your computer thinks it's 2 TB. I don't even know anything about computers, so I have no idea what that means. Reported the seller, not sure if they're still selling them though. You know what that means?
I don't know anything about computers. I sell some stuff, computer parts like that, but that's not because I know what they are. It's just because it's a good deal I got, but I have no clue what that is.
Talking about fake stuff, what do you think about? Did you see that CNBC article about Kenzo or whatever his name is?
Yeah, that guy's a big deal, right?
Yeah, like he's like deemed like the youngest millionaire Amazon seller or something like that. And I remember when I first started, I was like, damn, like I need to do Wholesale. This guy has like in his house like all these Lamborghinis, and like they go through this glass and all this stuff. Anytime you see that kind of stuff, like if you see just cars and no like boxes or like packages or any like kind of like they did some kind of work at some point, it's usually a pretty bad sign.
Yeah, no one's buying Lamborghinis from Amazon. I don't know how that's so hard to understand for people. You're not buying a Lamborghini from Amazon unless that's all you're spending your money on. Like clearly people are making money in other ways. It's just like a complete marketing tactic. How are you going to grow your business and like grow from $1 million to $2 million with all this capital you have to put in all this credit and then buy a Lamborghini? Okay, dude. Yeah.
It's funny. I was going to do this thing because I was on this website and it was on sale. And it was like a kid Lamborghini, like the powered driving one. I'm like, this is what most Amazon sellers are driving.
I mean, I think they're driving legit. I mean, those guys.
Oh yeah,
those guys are making money. Like
hell yeah.
I think people think that they're like flexing that stuff. I got into like a little debate with those private label guys, and that guy had the dumbest take of all time. I destroyed him, but whatever.
I did do that.
Like because what he was saying made no sense. Like that they like the Tates were buying these cars that was like all their money. Yeah, right, dude. Like these guys are printing money. Like just do the math. If you're getting billions of impressions, like it's obvious these guys are making a bunch. You see somebody with like 30,000 Instagram followers, they get 1,000 likes a reel or 500 likes a reel. You think that's not converting to cash some way? Like obviously it is. Those guys are making a bunch. If you want to say they're not doing what they say they're doing now, that's a fair assumption. But You're like, they have education platforms and they're printing money off of it.
Yeah, I agree. Anyone doing any A to A flips? Amazon to Amazon?
I do a bit. I think it's a good idea. It's tough. It's a tough thing to get into, but you can sign up for my mentorship if you'd like to, but I'm not going to give much details on it.
Yeah, no, I've done a couple. I don't know if I'll do more. I don't know. We'll see.
I'll give you some someday. You might get into it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we'll have to set up a Zoom for that. Go over that because I'd definitely be curious to get into like some of that. But yeah. We meeting at the Miami B-ball tournament.
I would go to that. I think that
is that happening?
Or, I mean, I saw somebody talking about it today on Twitter. I see these guys posting their jump shots and them shooting. You guys, not you specific. I don't know you, Sadiq, but these guys suck. I would dominate these guys in basketball.
Shots.
I was good at basketball, like really good. I still am. So I'd be surprised if there's no guys that played college. If they played D2, D1, they'd probably beat me. But if you were talking about like a normal high school AAU basketball player, I would like smoke all those guys. So I will come if that's the case, if there's some money on it, because I think it'd just be easy money.
Shots fired.
We'll see. Maybe it'll age well or age bad, but okay.
KZ International. He's friends with Luke, Bamir, Jordan Welch, etc. He had 4 million seized. Interesting.
Who's Jordan Welch? I feel like I've seen that name, but I don't know exactly who that is.
He's some kind of. He's like a Tate type of person. He talks like big, like Matrix stuff and everything, and like that kind of thing. He made a lot of money from drop shipping. He's a really smart dude, but I'm not a big fan of his content. He's a little schizo for me, but he's smart.
Where are his cash flowing properties? I saw that too. Did you run the combo?
I thought so too. I thought. Did you guys see that? You saw it, John?
Yeah, I did. I was like, as soon as I saw the initial thread, I think we were talking about that. Oh, and I was talking with Michaela. I was like, they're getting kind of hypey over there. And then I saw that. I was like, damn, like, is Drew like sleeping or something? Like, he's definitely gonna like go after on this thread. And then, like, sure enough, like an hour or two later, I was like, there it is. Like, I knew exactly what you were gonna say.
I mean, it was just so obvious. It's like the lowest hanging fruit, and he like fought to the death for it. Like, and that wasn't just me. Like, everybody in that whole thing was like, "Dude, you're nuts." And then at the end of it, I think he realized how wrong he was, and then he just said, "Well, they did a bunch of other bad stuff, so who cares about their money?" It's like, but dude, we weren't arguing about the other stuff. We were arguing about the money, and he just still didn't concede to it, which was crazy. But I don't know. That was weird to me. I was trying to analyze that whole situation. I just think maybe he just really hates those guys or something. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like Twitter has been kind of on fire lately. Just like lots of like beefs and spats.
There's so much like hate on Twitter anymore. I'm just like, I don't want to see this.
Guys, it gets engagement. That's how you get the followers.
I know. I just don't feel for it, as you can see.
I know. I'll just get drunk and start replying to stuff, and I'll wake up with like 10 more followers. It's insane.
That's the way. You should do one of those. I grew like my Twitter following by like 5,000%. Like DM me Twitter followers, and then it's just a PDF that says I get drunk and just read stuff on Twitter.
I love those. Whenever they say like, if you retweet this and DM me whatever, and then like, just kidding.
Yeah, that was like really funny.
Those are actually funny. I really enjoy those.
You guys have questions? Drop them in the chat. Is it too late to buy backpacks and send them for FBA using a prep center? This is my first OA back to school.
If you're using a West Coast prep center, be careful with that. Here's another, I guess, talking thing. I've noticed that the West Coast prep centers are really slow checking in compared to the East Coast, and it's nothing the West Coast fault. It's not their fault. It's just because there's lots of prep centers over there, I think, and hopefully that gets sorted out. But East Coast prep centers, maybe. West Coast, you're going to cut it a little short, but I think you could probably still get it in if you order like today. maybe by the end of the week, or I guess it is the end of the week. But I wouldn't push too far when you're going, because if you get caught at the end of that kind of thing, or you get caught right in the middle, you're really jacked up. But if your prep center has fast check-in times, even if it is out west, then send them, because if it's like early July, that stuff's not gonna that trend's not gonna die till end of August, so you have some time there.
Yeah, I would say if you're new, don't bet the farm on backpacks though.
No, that's why I told my students just to do FBM.
Yeah, I've almost thought though, I should have said this earlier. I mean, if the backpack listings are still up and they're not getting hit, they're probably safe to go, because that all came in a bit of a wave. So maybe if the things are still up and you see sellers on there, then it's probably a safe one to buy. But I mean, don't hold me to that, but I would assume that would be the case.
I do wonder though, because I feel like Amazon could be super finicky like that, when it's just everything is fine, and then until it's not,
they just pull the plug.
One Karen complains, and then there goes all the backpack listings. But I mean, I don't know. That's how Amazon is. It could be risk reward.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just I don't know. It's a bit risky.
I mean, you could FBM them though. If you have the capacity to FBM them, I would be back to school. You do an RA or some OA with it from a quick website and just FBM them. I mean, I know those backpacks fly like that, so that's not too bad.
Yeah, that's definitely. Yeah, that is definitely. Are you? I guess we kind of talked about it a little yesterday, but do you have a plan for back to school, or are you just kind of skipping it? Or
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was pumped about it. I had a big plan. I was going to buy a bunch of backpacks and get rich, and then that happened. So now I'm not. There's certain things, I told you about a play that I was thinking about for back to school. But that is mega high risk. That's something that I've talked to a few bigger sellers about that. They've sent me that same thing. I'm not a huge fan of that. I don't know. I might try some of that. If I was FBMing, I would buy 1,000 of those. But the fact I'm not FBMing them, it's just a little too risky for me. So I try to avoid those high risk plays, because if they don't pay out, you really get in trouble. So
it was one of those too. That's why I texted you. I was like, oh man, just knowing, I was like, could fly. Yeah. But the keeping data is
I'm getting Tobo over
and not in our favor. And he was just like, yeah, I've been looking at that for a while, and I don't know about it. I was like,
which I might still make that play, but it'll be last second.
I guess if you could get it at the price that you want. Not the price I had was not the right price.
Yeah, I bet everybody in the chat's what are they talking about? But if I do that, it'll be RA. Oh, yeah, Michaela's wondering too. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. You're not missing out on a bunch of money, but it could be decent, a few $1,000s.
And it's also one that could be ruined really easily.
Yeah, the risk is crazy.
That's the big risk there too.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips as practices for mitigating inventory leakage, orders actually being refunded when canceled, prep center missing units? Orders. So yeah, that's all right. So we could take it one step at a time here. So orders not actually being refunded when canceled. That's something you just have to stay on top of a lot. So if you're using a prep center, my prep center has a Google sheet. So when they don't check something in a week or two, I kind of go back to the email confirmation. And if I don't have something saying that it was shipped or something, then I'll reach out to them and they're like, oh yeah, we canceled the order. And they don't tell you, which is super annoying. And then you guys have to go I don't know, I use American Express. So I just go into my account and type that brand in and see if they refunded it. Because usually, unless you get an email, I know American Express, every time something gets refunded or I get money back, they send me a text message. So I know right away that I either did or didn't get it. So that's it's annoying to stay on top of, but as you grow, it's not worth your time. So just stop ordering from those places.
Yeah, and something you can do. This is if you're making any amount of money and you're considering a VA, which that's a pretty high level question you asked there. So I assume you're making decent money with this. If you're going to get a VA, hire a VA to do that. If you think about it logically too, do you want to hire a VA and try to teach her how to source, which is like extremely complicated and the hardest part of the business? Or do you just want to teach him how to do this inventory leakage stuff? Just have them track the order number originally and then what got shipped, what got canceled, do it in a spreadsheet and just have them, that's their only job, is to keep track of all your leakage and then all your stuff from Amazon, that type of thing. And you can create a pretty good system there. And it's a very easy job. They're not going to mess that up. So if I would get a VA to deal with that if yours is really, that bad. From my experience, mine isn't even that bad. I lose a lot of stuff at Amazon, but like in the whole process, I don't lose that much. But if it is a problem for you, then get a VA to do it and just like put it in a spreadsheet and just track the order everywhere it's at. When it ships, when it delivered to your prep center, when it ships to Amazon, when it gets checked in, all those little things, and then confirm it like that.
Do you have anything, Michaela?
I actually have my VA. He's doing it for me now because I was horrible at it before. I was like, hey, do you think you could help me like figure out a way to make this more systemized? And so he actually helps me with it now. We have like a sheet and everything. But it's much easier when you do wholesale because I'm not placing like 200 orders a month or anything. Like it's, a handful. And then he goes, then I used to use like Gatita and Riverbend and stuff, but now actually my VA helps me with it. And so we just like reconcile and get all of my money back. And we kind of just like use 300 of this item. Amazon, has 300 of them, or they need to reimburse me for XYZ. But coming from like suppliers, I usually don't like have any issue with, like them not giving me the full amount. It's usually Amazon's losing them. And then I just get reimbursed for that eventually by Amazon.
Yeah, that makes me jealous. I bet that is easy. Keep
it is so much easier. I've lost thousands of dollars because of Kohl's. I know it because they would send, whenever we first opened my prep center back in November, I sent a whole bunch of stuff there to help, train people and teach my business partners kind of how it works to prep Amazon stuff. And so I sent a whole bunch of stuff out there from Kohl's. And I swear to God, they sent so many wrong items. I actually sent them back to my house along with like my souvenirs and had to return, like, because they would send me like a completely different pair of sweatpants. They sent me like extra larges, and then they send me a random like Carhartt like beanie hat. And I'm like, I didn't even order this. Like,
yeah, I mean, I just ordered like a $2,000 computer and it got lost in transit to my apartment. So it makes me think that these places definitely don't keep a huge track on it, especially like that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, from my experience, it hasn't been terrible, but it could be worse than I think. And my prep center's just not telling me. I don't know.
Yeah. And then in terms of prep center missing units, this is always hard because the prep center says like, oh, it wasn't delivered. Obviously, whoever you ordered it from said it was delivered. It's just kind of like a gray, messy area because I'm not there, so I don't know. All I could say is like when I was doing a lot of the shipping myself, I don't think anything ever got lost. But again, like I don't have like a bazillion like packages. I just have mine coming. And I guess retail sites do like mess up. I mean, Kohl's is one of the worst. But yeah, I feel like you got to ask your prep center, hey, what's the deal? Like, how does this work? What happens if it says it's delivered and, you lose it? Like, what do you do in that situation? Just kind of iron that out. And I feel like they talked about an ARB ops. Like, that's something you have to track. Like, stuff is kind of going to get lost. Like, it's just how it goes. Like, things are going to get lost. But like I think they're talking about like they track like based on the prep centers they use, like which prep center is losing the most, basically. And like use that as a percentage and then kind of work from there.
We get yelled at not all the time, but like here and there about like lost items at the prep center. And it's just like I think people think that maybe we steal stuff or something. I'm like, we don't want a pair of size 11 tennis shoes. Like none of us wear the size 11 tennis shoes. And the way it's always best to talk to your prep center first and ask them how the systems work within the prep center. Like, how do they, get the packages? How do they receive them? Kind of what's that process until it ends up, into your box going to Amazon. And then that way you can kind of figure out where that like leakage is. And if you really trust your prep center, because like our prep center, like when we receive items, they stay in that box. Like we do not open the box. They get put on a shelf, and each shelf has a different person's name on it. So like we don't open the boxes up, and then like, you know what I mean? Like, so that prevents, things from getting lost from the point of time of us receiving it to the time that we start prepping, which I don't know if every prep center is kind of like that or not, but that on our end, that at least helps us prevent us from, accidentally misplacing something, because if it stays in the box, it's a lot harder to lose, obviously. Like if you send us a giant box, like, oh, sorry, I just misplaced this, 20-pound box. It's a little bit different than if we took it out and like, oh, that you sent us a pair of football gloves, like that's a smaller item, like that can get lost a little bit easier. But I don't know, that's just a common thing that I think people are always assuming, but it's trust. It's kind of a gray area, like you said. Like it's just a bunch of finger pointing. Like they didn't send us, this stuff, and then the retailer's like, well, we sent it in blah blah blah. But like we had an issue where the UPS driver that keeps dropping off our packages literally signs for everything, even if he doesn't drop them off, because it's based on the truckload, I guess. And when he signs off on it, he signs off the entire truck. So if we don't get it, it still shows that we got it, even though, because he didn't actually individually scan. I don't know. It's a big mess.
That's
Prep center is a rough business.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody wants to attack the prep center, but like these prep centers are like really tough companies. And I guarantee all these complaints you're talking about come from very small sellers. Big sellers usually don't do that either. Like,
yeah,
if you're a small seller and you're like on your prep center, don't do that. Like you're very annoying. That kind of stuff. These people like are working hard. They're not trying to, steal your stuff. Like, and it's a very difficult business. Every person that gets into that thinks it's like a great idea. And they're like, there's a lot of complications with it. So give them some credit for like certain things.
Yeah. Don't just blame us for stealing your items. Like we had like a 0.03% like lost rate for one client, and they went like bananas on me. It was like, oh my God, it was like a couple $100 worth of stuff, and they sent us like $70,000 worth of stuff. And I was like,
yeah, I feel like that's just how it goes. Like if you if you prepped yourself, like you probably lose stuff in your house, you'd break something. Yes. Like it's just how it goes, and whatever.
No wrong, you know what I mean? Like everyone's perfect except for the people that runs the prep center. They're not perfect.
Pretty much. What else we got here? What other questions do you guys have? Don't you hate it when Amazon claims your box has damaged or missing product, but you have a photo of the contents in the box? Seems Amazon usually screws up.
That's just Amazon.
Yeah, I mean,
business.
Yeah. What do you think? I saw on Twitter today too. They were talking about like the UPS strike. Suppose if they don't like reach something by January 31st, I feel like there's no way like Amazon will make it work. I feel like
we've already implemented backup plans for our prep center.
Yeah, I mean, you think to all of us, it probably seems like, well, it's definitely going to work, but haven't like Hollywood writers been on strike for like 4 months now or something? Like Hollywood's just as big as that. So I mean, if they're stopping $100 million movies, they're probably going to stop some little e-com guys. I don't know. Like, I don't know any details on the strike though, but I would just say these days, if there's a threat of a strike, like it probably will happen. I doubt that it's probably going to happen. I don't know how much it'll affect us or whatever, but we'll see.
Probably a lot, I would think, because
that's Amazon's partnered services.
Yeah.
UPS.
Well, yeah, that, and a lot of major retailers use them. So they would have to switch over to something else.
And then FedEx is going to be like, they're going to just increase the prices because they know that they've got us on lock.
Either that or the websites partner with USPS and they just lose everything.
Yeah,
that's a government thing. I don't. Well, I mean, that could be like a government bailout for these websites, but the USPS is already losing so much money. I don't know if they do that.
Yeah, I don't know either, but yeah, I could see that being a nightmare. Not being able to use that, or I don't know. I guess it'd be like everyone always says LTL takes like a lot longer to check in, but I guess if no one could send UPS,
then I'm supposed to take even longer because it's going to be even more people.
Oh, I didn't even think
it's going to get even more backed up.
Yeah, I don't know. It would be pretty crazy though. Like, I feel like it's just like stuff like that where you just can't like foresee, and it's like I'm not really worried about it now because it's like, what are you gonna do? But
if it happens, it happens. You know, we have no control over whatsoever. No single person right here is going to be able to be like, "Hey, UPS, please don't go on strike. You're going to hurt us." Like they don't care.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No point in worrying, honestly, if you can't control it whatsoever.
Yeah. Let's see. You guys have any other questions? What else did we write down for yesterday? Did we already talk about that?
Oh yeah, there's another one. Yeah, I was. You were talking. I don't know what you were saying. Something I was saying. The business is just very hard to go broke in, which I've talked about this.
Oh yeah.
It's just really hard when you have like these people. There's like this thing that there's like an exodus from Amazon or something, but it's really just, I guess, to get you to FOMO in. But like there's clearly new sellers every day, you know, especially being on the social media side. I had someone DM me today. And if he's watching this, I'll get back to you eventually, brother. But it's like asking me some general question if OA is even real or something. I'm like, yeah, there's obviously new faces all the time, and it's a really hard business to go broke. You're not just going to like lose your house on Amazon, like unless you really push it. If you have a 9-to-5 and you're like getting credit card cash back and taking out loans that Amazon like dangles over your head, it's just really hard to like completely lose everything. It's going to be a long time horizon. So I think that I don't know what the point of that was when I was telling you yesterday. I don't know what you were talking about with it, but it's just impossible for people to go broke, especially if you have another source of income. You'd have to really, really suck to lose your money.
Oh, we were talking about like tracking numbers and accounting and like how it's just difficult.
Oh yeah.
Kind of like, how do you know if the business is doing good?
Oh yeah. I mean, the way that this is like, I'm a little more professional than this, but I mean, this is one way you can tell is if this is your only source of income for a certain bank account and you pay off these credit cards with that bank account. If you're paying off your credit card every month and the balance is relatively the same and your bank account's going up, you're probably doing pretty good. Like I just paid off a massive Amex bill, like one of the biggest I've had this year. And I had like almost just as much cash in my account afterwards. So I was like, I'm doing pretty good this year. But that's like a pretty good standard of how things are going. If you're like struggling to pay your credit card bills off at the end, like you better really dive deep into those numbers and see how profitable you are, because you're probably not very profitable.
I agree.
That's smart.
What do you guys think are the biggest fears / worries / excuses people have for not starting to sell on Amazon? Jeez, there's so many.
It's a big. I mean, a lot of people legit don't think this is real. Like people legit think it's not real. You have people that don't really want to work hard. And then the theory that I've really settled into recently that I think why people don't pursue these online businesses is it's really difficult to go from a mediocre life and understand like what's next, or like really push yourself to do something better. It's the same way people stay in relationships where people are just cheating all the time and you have a terrible relationship. Like it's really hard to get out of that until like something really bad happens. Like usually it has to go bad. You don't just like not like your partner and then just get out of the relationship. Usually it's like someone cheats really bad or someone's physically abusive. That's a crazy example to compare to Amazon, but that's really kind of what I think it's hard for people to see on the other side without something like, oh, I lost my job. How am I going to make it work? And it's just hard to be like, well, now I'm trying to start this side income. Some people are built for it, like a lot of people are, but that's why I think a lot of people don't start this stuff, is they really don't see what's the possibility on the other side.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I think a lot of people, I feel a lot of people are just broke too. Like they just don't have the money. I mean, there's plenty of ways you can make money. There's probably thousands of dollars like sitting in your house of stuff that like you don't use or whatever, which you could use to start that. I think people in the biggest fear is like they're going to lose money. I mean, it's inevitable. I mean, that's just part of this business. Like you're going to like you don't win on every ASIN. Like it'd be great if you did, but like you just don't. Hopefully you break even and don't take too bad of a loss. But like at some point in time, you're gonna lose. I actually was coaching someone today. They booked a call and they were like, they have a really, really good attitude. They basically did like 2,500 in sales their first month. And basically they like broke even on all of it. And he was like trying to ask me like why that happened. I was like showing him like Keepa and all that kind of stuff. But he's like, oh, like I learned a lot. Like he wasn't like, oh, like this is a scam or whatever. He was just like, yeah, like this stuff flew when it got to Amazon. I just need to buy different items because the ones I did, like I made money on some, but then I lost a lot on some. So like you just have to kind of get over that and just realize, yeah, that this is actually work. I think a big thing too, people get into it because they think it's easy. I think that's one of the worst reasons to get into anything. Like nothing is easy, no matter what you're doing.
It's going to require work, and the more work you put in, the better you're going to be. I mean, there was a guy named Hamza in the chat. He's in my coaching program. He said Drew is the GOAT. Appreciate that. But he joined and he like sells at flea markets. He does like all these different like side businesses that kind of all go into Amazon. And this guy is like the hardest working dude I've ever seen. He works like 10 times harder than me. And he grew his business by like 200% after I taught him some stuff. And it was because he just took immediate action and just was like, this works. I know this guy's not lying to me. I'm going to listen to everything and implement it. And he's just like going crazy. And the same thing happened with another kid too. He was just a workhorse doing RA all the time. I taught him a few things. And then like within a week, like he'd just stopped booking as many calls because he just got it because he was taking so much action. So a lot of people are scared to take action. And if you don't, you're not going to make it, obviously.
Yeah, it's definitely overwhelming when you get started, but I feel like anything else, you just have to kind of focus on the end, like why you're doing it. Obviously, you don't like your job or you want extra money or whatever. I don't know. You have anything, Michaela?
Everybody always has an excuse for, like, I've heard it all, honestly. Like, my dog died. I can't sell on Amazon. No, not really. That was just exaggeration. No. I think a lot of people think this is a scam, kind of like what Drew said, like it's not real. That's number one. And that is true to a certain degree. Like there are people making money doing this. That's without a doubt. But to the degree that people say, that's the question part. So that is obviously number one, in my opinion. Two, a lot of people don't think that they can do it. Just like they just don't think it's achievable for them. Like it's not an attainable goal. They're like, I don't think there's any way that I could do that. But they don't even try. So then I'm like, how do you know if you're not going to be able to do it if you don't even at least try it? It's just like sports. Like if you just sit there and say, I'm not going to be able to play basketball. If you've never played basketball before in your life, how do you know? So that's another thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'll let you finish that. But also, everybody thinks everyone can do it. Like I don't believe that. Like obviously, if I want to go to the NBA, like in 2 years, I can't. I'm 5'11", and I can't jump, so I can't go to the NBA. Sometimes people are just losers, or you're just dumb. Like you're not going to make Amazon work. So some people just literally don't have the mental capacity to make it work. Just like you don't have the physical capacity. People act like those things aren't the same. Those things are very similar. If you can't just because mental, you can push yourself like these big entrepreneurs say. Like a lot of these guys are extremely gifted. You're not going to be the next Elon Musk. You're not going to be the next Jeff Bezos. Like maybe you're just not cut out to sell stuff on the internet. But that's like a harsh truth too. If you're not getting it and it's been a long time, like maybe you're an idiot. It's time to move on. It's time to pick up a shovel, dig ditches. We need those as well. Which is
I agree. Like it's definitely
I forget who I was talking to, but I had something similar to that. I forget who. I don't know, but I was saying, there's some people in this world that are meant to be employees, and there's some people in this world who are meant to be like bosses or like entrepreneurs. Like, you know what I mean? You either have it or you don't. So like if you don't have it, that's fine. But we have to have people working other jobs. Like we can't all just be entrepreneurs. Like some of us have to be doing other jobs. So I forget who I was telling that to, but somebody, and I was like, this is just black and white for me. You know what I mean? Some people are just not meant to run their own business, and that's okay. It's just,
I think like a good question to ask yourself is like, if you had $2,000 to start and like you lost it all, if you can't stomach that, like this probably not for you.
yeah,
Like
there's definitely a lot
the
of it's
first like month or two, like
calculated.
it's gonna be, you're not gonna be able to pull money out. Like if you want to keep growing it, like you're gonna buy some bad stuff. So like if you can't stomach losing like $1 to $2 grand,
Okay, hold up. I'm addressing this right now. You know exactly what I'm going to say. Bring it up, please. Bring it up, John.
This is good.
Oregon Prep Center was not buying these goods. Okay, let's clarify this right now. We had clients who bought these goods, not us. Clients.
Was there were prep centers in the article? I didn't read it.
One of the co-owners of the prep center spoke about it because we lost clients. Because
okay.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the like a prep center can't even like, what are they going to buy goods for? Like,
yeah,
that's not like that's
yes, I'm totally guilty. I'm the one who is in California. I don't know if you know this or not, but I also live in California part-time. I live in Ohio, but I also live in California. And what I do in my free time is I go around to all these like Best Buys, Targets, Walmarts in my giant semi truck, and I just steal up everything. Yeah, totally. Does it look like something? Do I look like I'd be doing that?
Yeah,
I can't push a pallet, let alone TVs. And
I mean, there were probably tons of prep centers who touched that stuff.
Every one of them,
like,
guarantee it. Yeah, I mean that's the real blame on that is obviously the people selling the stolen goods, but also the people buying it without doing their due diligence. Like that's a shiny object syndrome, like massively. Like if you're in some Telegram buying like closeout deals, like you have to put a little bit of blame on yourself there. You know, if I offer you guys something insane, you get rich quick, and then you join and you're like, well, that's kind of sketchy, and then you just do it anyways, and it ends up being illegal. Like that's a little bit on that as well. But if we're selling goods on like a marketplace, it's not the marketplace's fault. There's like no way to facilitate that. It's not like they were going through the goods and doing that. And I don't even know like really anything about this. I have no reason to back her up either. I'm just saying logically, like that's just the way it works. Like how would a prep center even know? So that's not really fair to put blame on her. Like
because they have no idea how much you, well, they might if they're entering like buy costs and stuff for you, but like they would have no idea. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So financial freedom. Big rocks.
Drew, are you still selling shoes and clothing now that you have a prep center that could sell your returns?
Yeah, I talked about that a bit earlier. I'm doing lots of shoes now because of the cash back you get from shoes. And yeah, I'm dealing with the returns. I never did a lot of like clothing, certain things, but I was never really into that anyways. That stuff just ends up tanking for me a lot, or maybe I'm not very good at analyzing that type of thing. Might do it as the year goes on with like hoodies and things near winter, but we'll see. But yeah, if you can deal with your returns, it's not that bad of an idea. I mean, you get the cash back, you can manage that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm dealing with it a little bit.
Some people are poverty mindset trained by their tribe subconsciously. You don't want to leave that tribe. Yeah, I mean, the last probably thing on that, it's like, I don't feel like, almost like if you don't want to be an entrepreneur, you don't have to be. Like, it maybe looks cool now, but then like there are a lot of people who I know who have gotten out of the game because they went into massive debt because they just didn't play it correctly, and like they thought it'd be easy. Like there's all this sorts of stuff that goes with that. So like if you're like happy your job, like just stay your job, or like flip stuff locally. You could make easily like $1,000, $2,000 doing that every month.
Couches and stuff, yeah.
For sure, furniture, 100%.
I don't even want to talk about this anymore. I'm just done with it.
What else we got?
Oh,
so Drew definitely will never be a motivational speaker.
I think I could do it. Sometimes people need to hear the reality. I think there's too much like positive, hyper positive talk on the internet of like everybody can do it. Like I don't think my message is negative. I just think it's very realistic. I think that's what a lot of people need to hear. You know, if you try your whole life to do certain things You know, maybe it's like just not going to work out. I mean, I see this happen really commonly with like college athletes. I'll see guys, I know guys right now that I went to high school with in the same age as me that are still playing college basketball, like 6, 7 years in. I've been graduated for so long and they're still trying to like make this dream work. And like, dude, at this point, like you're like way behind in life. Like I have a multi-million-dollar company and you're like going to have to get out in the real world and find a job when you have all these skills, probably like social skills to do something else. So that's just a lot of people like, I think they just pursue avenues that isn't really like ideal for them. And it makes it so much more difficult when you can pursue something that you're actually good at. Like everyone's got skills no matter who it is. So I'll pursue something that, you know, you're skillful in rather than just going down a path that's much tougher for you mentally.
Yeah, I feel like and everyone could like teach someone something. So I mean that's always like needed or a skill or I feel like too, like as like we like move on, like we're just getting lazier and lazier. So like dumb stuff that like people used to do, like probably people aren't gonna want to do that. So like if that's like easy for you, yeah, that could be easily be a model for you to just follow. I don't know if you guys don't have any other questions.
Yeah, I'm just kind of done with this, really, honestly.
Do you have any final words, Drew?
No, this has been a good one. Aside from that last little bit, but I think there's lots of good informative knowledge on here. I tried my best. It's always fun for you guys to have me on, so I enjoy being here.
Yeah, no. All right, guys. We will see you in the next one. Thanks for being here, Drew. I think his stuff's linked down below. If not, DrewFBA on Twitter and everywhere else. And we'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Peace.